Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori. Today, let's chat about the federal government's, shall we say, renewed initiative on the war against oil thieves. That has been very much in the news, not least because recent revelations, they've been astounding, and it looks like if those can be addressed, a significant dent would have been made into this particular phenomenon. But there is a lot of conversation on how the discoveries were made. In other words, a former militant in the Niger Delta, Tom Polo, and his firm, they've been awarded a 48 million naira contract, and they've begun to deliver, it would appear, at least going by the kind of astounding results that have come by since then. Of course, as you know, you've been following the conversation. We've been hearing that, look, this has been going on for decades, oil theft, that is. Well, the question is, we have our military and paramilitary people, and so why haven't they been able to, do what Tom Polo has done within weeks, perhaps months of taking off? This is something, so it's against that backdrop that we want to look at the armed forces and the war against oil thieves. Our guest this morning is a counter-terrorism spokesman of the Nigeria Air Force, Group Captain Sadiq Shehu. Group Captain Sadiq Shehu retired. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for coming on. Now, as I sort of said in that short preamble, there are all sorts of comments. Some are elated, some are disappointed. Those that are disappointed are saying that this is a vote, that is the federal government approved contract that has been getting these results, is those people would attribute it to a falling out of confidence. Let me not say a total lack, but a falling out of the issue of confidence with our armed forces before the commander-in-chief would approve of such a deal. And they say to that extent, it is highly embarrassing of the whole efforts of the armed forces. So give me how you understand the recent developments. One, the award of the contract to Chief Tom Polo's firm, and two, the results that have come out very shortly after he took off.
Well, thank you very much. There are two ways of looking at it. First, looking at the gains, it is to everybody's knowledge that Nigeria has been hemorrhaging thousands and thousands, or I can say millions of dollars as a result of oil theft for only God knows for how long. And it is also common knowledge that right now, when there are, upheavals in the oil market, Nigeria ought to be reaping abundantly from the crisis that is rocking, following the Russian-Ukraine war. But unfortunately, as an oil producer, we are not even meeting our quota. For any citizen, this is a very, very sad situation, especially at the fact where economy is not doing very well. So, in the light of that, any solution that will ensure that the bleeding of the resources is being blocked or minimized, though we are yet to get the new production numbers of Nigeria, we don't know that the Polo operation will show, and the figures moving northwards. But having said that, of course, okay, maybe there's what is called bias by association. As a retired military man, I would have felt happier. I would have felt more proud if the armed forces of Nigeria and other security agencies were the ones that are doing this work apart from Polo. But of course, this will not distract from the increase in resources that might accrue from what Polo is going. But the ideal would have been the Nigerian armed forces and other security agencies, civil defense, police, should be the ones, since the government is maintaining them at a very large cost to the taxpayer. If that is the case, we expect that in return, they should be able to, protect the commercial and economic interests of the country. But be as it may, we are using a non-state actor to carry out, these functions. My hope and my prayer is that this is only a temporary arrangement. Again, you might accuse me of being biased, being a former military man. There's always the professional pride.
I hear what you're saying, and I think there is a bit of the military esprit de corps thing, a bit of it, at least that's my opinion, in your response. And the reason I'd come with that is that, look, as you know, the Buhari administration has prided itself on having spent more than any other previous administration in bolstering the army with equipment. And so a lot of people would say, with the technical assets available to the federal government and the Nigerian army, I imagine the armed forces, that they could not bring us to the stage that this private security, pipeline monitoring company has been able to deliver in such a short time. And they're not really that deep in. It's just about knowing where they are. Certainly, TV crews are now able to, show us the level of the atrocity because the Nigerian armed forces, most armed forces, but the Nigerian armed forces has technical competencies as well. And the president is very proud of this administration's expenditure on the military. One is just wondering, where is the problem? Why couldn't they determine all of the things that has been said now, even though I agree, bottom line, results is what we want. So I doubt that those pipelines can continue to be used, such as you are seeing now. But it took a private security firm, not the federal might, to unearth all of this. Is there conspiracy? Because some have even gone as far as alleging that. Well, I was alerted that there might be bandwidth issues, and perhaps that's what's happening now, because you would have responded if the entire communication had gone across to you. So I'm suspecting that you might not have heard it all, or even at all. But, the phones are open, and so you could call in. Our topic of conversation this morning is the armed forces and the war against oil thieves. Another notable citizen, I think Femi Falana, SAN, has also bemoaned, the situation we have on our hands. While everybody is happy that this has finally been revealed, I guess we feel a bit like egg on our face, a bit embarrassed that the proud, uniform of our armed forces that every Nigerian who doesn't need to be a military man to take pride in, that they were not able to achieve the feat that we have to concede was made by a private person. Our guest is Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, retired. He's a counter-terrorism spokesman for the Nigerian Air Force, and of course he retired from the Nigerian Air Force. Contribute, if you will. Call in and let's see what you think. Is it a matter of, look, it doesn't matter one way or the other. It doesn't really matter. Let us get results. Or those that are, shall we say, angry / disappointed that it wasn't done by the biggest force that we know, in the country. A combination of all the security services, all the technological, assets available, drones and all of that. It still didn't come to light until the firm came in. Is there anything wrong with that? And are we making a mountain out of an anthill? Probably is the question. Is it now time to close ranks, both the military, who, by the way, the Minister of the Interior recently, he unveiled 8 gunboats for the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps. In this whole fight, is it time to close ranks and just concentrate on the advances made, or do we have a problem? I understand that we have a caller from the UK. Didn't quite catch the name. It's not from Italy. It's not from the UK. It's from Italy, and it's Mr. Ozumbo, I believe.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Ozumbo.
Yeah. Yori, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. What do you think of this situation we have on our hands here?
the situation is very, very clear. Since our military, they've all failed us, the security has been laid under the bridge on the flooding water. If Tompolo, an individual, can take on this project and is able to deliver within 90 days, and we are seeing the result. And these things have been there for, according to the news, have been there for over 10 to 15, 20 years. Can you imagine how many dispensations the governors have come in and they knew these things have been going on? It's just because of the situation at hand now that all this is revealed to we Nigerians. The bourgeois, these are what the business they do. Because I stayed in Delta. How can a Navy officer, just a low-rank officer, will be riding a flashy cars? And those that are suffering, that will be suffering. And these are the people who have the opportunity to be there. When they talk in the public, you'll be wondering what is really the brain behind this person talking this way. The politicians, they know all these things. Even Ashewadu, when he was number 3, Imobi Ezo, he knows all these things. The governor of every state, the South, they knows all these things. It is because the youth, they reveal to the youth now, and they knew quite well when this thing gets out of hand. That is why they quickly appoint Tompolo. So the government, they have to, since all this, why they detected all these things, how many arrests have they made? No arrest. Does that mean they don't know these people?
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the call. Food for thought. Your allegation is that the administration, since this has been going on for decades, there are even those commentators who are saying, hang on, from the very, very beginning, is when this, has been going on, and that it's a high conspiracy. Worse still, there are even speculative stories in the press that even military people, they might be part owners of all sorts of bush refineries and that kind of a thing. Totally unsubstantiated as yet, but it is cause for concern. Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, you heard that. That's a Nigerian saying that the passing administrations, right up until now, always knew about this. You can probably understand why he's saying that, but in the despondency around people feeling that they've been let down a bit by our military, can you understand it? Can you understand the situation we have on our hands here?
Okay. Please permit me to go back before I got cut off. You asked the question about the current administration spending on security. If you would allow me, I'll start from that before I descend to the last question that asked by this caller.
Okay, sir.
It is a fact. It is a fact that if you rate all the past administrations, you can hardly find an administration that spent or that budgeted as much money on security as the Buhari administration. There is no doubt about that. If you take it in terms of naira and kobo, dollars and pounds and sterling, whatever we spend, there is no doubt about that. But what I always say, when we are talking about security or military budget or defense budget or security budget in general, sometimes it is not the quantum of money that you spend that will give the result.
Well, the audio is giving us challenges. It might be a bandwidth issue.
Rather, the important thing is if you are a security instrument. The last budget, even this current budget that was just released, to take a look at what is a recurrent expenditure. This is all for the whether I say it's for the military, even for the police, even for the DSS, even for other security agencies. We are not spending wisely our security money. We are not following the money. And here where I say we, here I'm including myself as a citizen, but more importantly, the duty is on the elected officials, both at the executive level and at the legislative level, if I am a legislator with due respect, I would feel concerned at a time when the country is facing security challenge.
Okay, I can hear it now. First of all, apologies, to the viewers at home. You can see that we have an internet challenge, but it'll get better and we'll continue.
I should allocate.
I think the group captain was commenting there on the expenditure that has gone into bolstering the capabilities of the armed forces. And I think he was, trying to make a comparative analysis of the kind of situation we find ourselves in. But I can't put words into his mouth. I can only guess where he might have been going. So sorry about this. In fact, let's take a break and hope that it'll get better. And if you're listening out there, we would welcome your calls as well. Give us the impression that you have about this situation where a private security firm has made advances that haven't been made in decades, 30, 40 years, into a national problem. Stay with us, please.